And top of the morning to you. Hey, I'm Michael, or as the grandkids call me, Roo. Thanks for jumping online this morning, giving up a little bit of your morning to join me for just whatever it is I do here early in the mornings. I doodle, I whittle, I play the harmonica. You know what? I do everything but dance because no, I can't dance. And but let me say hello to a few of you. Thanks for jumping on this morning. Let me just scroll down and say hello. Good morning, Belinda. Good morning, Carol. Good morning, Mary, and thank you. Christine, thank you. Michelle, thank you. Good morning. Saw you yesterday, and hope you enjoy your Roodoodle. You know, sometimes I mail them, and sometimes people just say I'm driving by. So there, it happens like that. It's a long trip. If you're out in Washington State and you're driving to pick up a Roo, go ahead and start now, and I'll have it ready for you. Kim Sheets, hello. Good morning, Alice. Good morning, Karen. Thank you guys for popping in. Thank you for spending your mornings here. Thank you for liking the show that I'm doing. Thank you for hitting those buttons when you can and sharing it with your friends. That helps Roodoodles do what Roodoodles does. Hey, I'm not an art teacher. I'm a guy who helps encourage people to be creative, right? We were created, be creative. So I'll say hello, Terry Tardy. Top of the morning to you. Terry was one of those ladies that I know who was a potter and now is doing some great watercolor work. She lives in Oregon. I know that. Just put something in the mail to you yesterday, Terry, a little gift that's coming out to you, and enjoyed meeting you back in January. Here's the thing. You have to get up early, and I appreciate it. And I know you're a potter, and I know because of COVID-19, a lot of the businesses. Hey, look, folks, it's a sad time for businesses in our country, and so I've been a self-employed guy, a freelancer, an artisan for a long time. So, got a young man joining me in the studio this morning, and who just has a piece of wood here. Look at my desk this morning. I'll show you this. It looks like this right here this morning. There it is underneath all this paper. Here we go. Let me move it out. It's showtime. Then I throw stuff over. And here it is. Let's start. I'm interrupting myself. You know what I've decided to do is make the mark down here today. So here it is. This is day 66. There it is right there. Increase the size of that just a little bit. So there it is. If it comes up to you, the bee flies in. Day 66 is right there. My gosh, I've been doing this 66 days. What the heck was I thinking? Or maybe I wasn't thinking. All right. Anyway, it has been fun. And thank you. Some of you have stuck with me the whole way. Terry, I think you're one of those. It's been right here and being creative. So continue to do that. I've got a couple things that I want to do today that are going to look a little bit like they're lessons. And I hate that. Because, you know, I haven't really ever had any lessons. I painted with a couple artists before and they never said to me, don't, stop, quit, don't do that. They never said that. They were people who encouraged me to let it go, be creative, let it go, let it fly. So I love that. But I am going to back up a little bit today, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of you now are saying, you know, I should do this. I should get into this. I should really just carry a bailout bag with me, not a military bailout bag. If you got one of those, that's just fine. But a small bag with some watercolor supplies in it, and I should find myself a little piece of desk surface like this one, and I should go out and I should chase down a wild mushroom or look at the leaves on a redbud tree or a maple and learn some names of those trees and then maybe paint them or learn to paint a butterfly or a bee or a squirrel or something. You know, don't Squirrels are just hard to paint. One is they got that funky little face, and the other thing is it's hard to paint the tail. I'd rather use squirrels to make my paintbrushes. I do feed them though, okay? So I'm not a bad guy. I don't go out and I do plink them every now and then with a slingshot with BBs and I've gotten pretty good at that. That's a whole nother lesson someday. But my point is I'm going to talk about beginners, several things you need if you want to start watercolor. What kind of paints should you start with? What kind of paper? Recommend me 3 brushes. I'm going to do that. My daughter was great about a month ago of putting together an art box and actually sold them like that of having sample papers. But I've got a list I'm going to throw up on the screen here in a little bit. So let me say hello to a few more people and then we'll start. Good morning, Margaret. Thank you for jumping on. Skeeter Powell and Mike Pratt. Wow. Thank you guys for jumping aboard. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Mike Pratt, I call him my wood chopper dude. That man chops wood for ministry. You know, he just goes out and says, I'll chop this up and help people stay warm where he lives. He lives over near Pinehurst, but come on, have you ever been over there? Whoa. And by the way, man, I need to come back out to the big hotel at Pinehurst someday and sit on the back porch and paint there. That's a great idea. They need some Roodoodles at Pinehurst. So, Allison, thank you for joining me. Allison says North Carolina, so I got it. Margaret, I said hello and appreciate it. Margaret, the Pope is on the way. You'll know what that means, right? Okay, Lynn, thank you. Neil Mallory, hey, Roodood, I appreciate it. Terry says she's used a clear rectangle plastic bag for her bill. Well, that's good if you have to fly because they can look in there. I flew this year with my normal bag. Uh-oh, I just knocked my camera off, didn't I? Earthquake in the studio. Forgot I was sitting in a chair in a different place today. I carry these bags sometimes. Take a look at this. This is hey, men, if you want to get into watercolor painting, this is the key right here. Carry your watercolor. How about this, Davidson? Davidson is in my office today, and holler.
Howdy.
There he is. Davidson is 16 years old, and he's a maker, and he and I are on a project today. We're going to blacksmith something. He's always wanted to get at the anvil, and he's making some little things right now out of some little rings out of nails and things. So we're going to make a branding iron today. So I said, come early and you can sit it on the show. So he's over there sketching something, and I'm not sure what it is. It looks like a barn. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that'll be cool. So, but if you want a manly bag, here it is right here. It's Klein Tools. Klein, of course, used to be made in Chicago, one of the finest electrical tool brands around. So I keep my bailout bag in here. All the supplies that I need for a quick watercolor are right here. So we'll go through that in just a minute. I'm going to paint something first, and then we'll go from there, okay? So to warm up this morning, I want to paint something in the book, and I haven't even found anything yet. Some of you who are just joining me, hey, Virginia, come on, Mike Pratt says. That means come on over there. Man, I'd love to. As soon as we're done with this, hey, Pat Cummings, howdy to you, brother. I hope you got your grill to stand up. Giving some shout outs here to some guys who are coming along. I get crazy phone calls from people. I get calls about, would you paint a rooster? Would you whittle a rooster? Would you help me fix my grill or attach a bird feeder or a squirrel detainer? And so, Pat, I hope your grill turned out well. I give counsel here from all sorts of crazy things. So loving you people. And Margaret, get your bill-out bag ready for Cabo. Look, in fact, after I paint something, I'm going to go through that now. For some of you who may have to run, and I'll slow down. And I'm drinking tea again this morning. So some of you said, get off the coffee, dude. But I'll go through a little bill-out bag. And here's what that's great for. If you got grandkids, and by the way, there are certain paints and colors and brushes that I don't let my grandkids have. So I have the bill-out bag for me, and then I have another one for them. So they'll go, hey. Now, Davidson's in the studio this morning, and so he said, hey, you think I can have a piece of paper? And I'm going like, well, hey, I've got about 200 sheets over here. I'm not going to be selfish. So I gave him a sheet and also had one of my little boards that I use. Davidson, hand me that board just for a second.
All right, then.
Yeah. Here's the board that Davidson has his hands on right here. Let me show you what I do with this before I start painting. Look at this. This is Luan plywood, or this is birch plywood, actually. Buy a sheet of it. And there it is. You see, yeah, my grandkids have done, and I've done some painting on it. It's about 15 by 12, maybe, something like that. A little less than that, maybe. And I just drilled a hole in it. Nothing magical about the hole, except that when I go to carry it, I also, sometimes it just makes it easy to grip if I'm standing around like this and I'm holding it. And I can even put a little piece of paper right there and grip it like this. So if I want to hold it like this, but you can tape paper down on it. So this is, you can't see what I'm doing. So let me switch the cameras again here because I'm all over the place today. So this is sort of how I would handle that board. But this is great if you want a little bill-out bag. Now I have a small one like this, but you might want to just use the back side of your journal if you're flying on an airplane. And that's what I did. Use your journal. These are 4x4 or 4x5 sheets of paper, and we'll talk about that too. Start small, people. Start small. There you go, Davidson. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm trying not to hit my camera anymore. If you see an earthquake, it's because I've not switched my chair around this morning like that, and I'm rolling into my camera stand. It just happens some mornings because it makes Lynn nauseous. That's why I'm doing it, Lynn. Donna, Jack Wolfbarger, good morning, buddy. Hey, Peggy. Hey, Beverly. Hey, the grill is doing good, Pat says. Boston butt this weekend. Okay, just put a piece in an envelope and mail it to me, okay? Um, and Linda, sneaking at work. That's good. Thanks. All right, here we go. Here's the book. Let's warm up something, and then I'll talk about some. I promise it's on my list over here. Welcome, some of you. Thank you for coming on. Thanks for liking my page. Thanks for sharing my page. I love it when you guys share it out because I get people who say, "Oh, I just found you," or "I love what you're doing," and how can I do that? I got teachers and school kids and all sorts of people watching, and so that inspires me to continue to just be creative. So thank you. This week we're talking about coffee. Had Chip in early in the week, and he made some coffee for us. Um, here's the word. It's called rassasy. Rassasy. Okay, the rassasy, and it's the first word right here. It is. Look, help yourself to some more pancakes. So it's to satisfy a hungry person. Satiate. Satisfy is a different word today. I was mixing up some epoxy a while back, and I poured it into the mold, and my grandson said, "That is so satisfying." Whoa. And I said, "You mean like when we're having crepes, and I fill them full of Nutella and bananas?" And he goes, "Yeah." So this would be a good word for that. So let me just grab something here like my pen, and let's see, what's this going to look like? I got to think. To satisfy a hungry person, what would be? Oh, got it right here. All right, so we're going to draw. A little peep right here. Don't know if you can see him coming in. I'm going to blow this up just a little bit. Slide over. There we go. I'll try to quit moving before the hour's over. I promise. So there's. Okay, I got to get situated today. I moved a couple things around because Davidson was coming in today. Davidson, where's the name from, man?
It is from my father.
From your father? Okay. You know, there's a Davidson. You ever been to Davidson College? It's near here, right?
Yeah, I have actually.
Nice college, man. It's a great little university. Davidson. Got some good friends that have gone there. It's a pretty awesome place. Fancy little schmancy place, too. I went up there to do some work.
No, there's a bridge under there that I went under.
Oh, there's a bridge under the... Oh,
yeah,
really?
There's a creek under it.
A creek and a bridge?
Yeah,
his guy's an outdoor guy. He's a maker, and I love his style. So his dad called me and said, Davidson needs to make something. And so I invited him over to make something today. So I've just met him this morning in the front yard. I was out cutting some limbs off the river birch because I got to whittle some. All right, so here's... This is going to be a hungry... what would satisfy... Oh, here we go. Let's see. Do I have a Sharpie anywhere? Yeah, here's a Sharpie. I don't do this very often. So let me zoom back out just a little bit. Show you the rest of this book. Here it is right here. So let's do this. Let's get rid of this cartoon that's on the book. And let's just do that by just painting in some dark here like this. Hey, you guys asked me about brushes. You've asked me about paper. You've asked me about paint to kind of start with. I'm going to throw up a list in a minute. So if you don't have I'm going to toss the list up online. I'm not going to throw up a list. My wife all the time says, for a guy who writes and uses the language, you certainly mess it up sometimes. And she's right. I'm going to toss a list. I'm going to put a list up on the screen that you can look at and get a feel for some of the things you might need to pick up. All right, so I've got this peep over here, and what would satisfy a peep? And I got this big Sharpie, more than maybe, it's hard to paint wet on wet, so I'm going to have to let that stand for a minute. But I was going to do this giant grasshopper on this side over here. I think that's what that's going to be, just a grasshopper that you go, man, if we could take that guy home, we could all eat for a long time. And kudos to you people who make soup for the next door neighbors and who carry meals out during this time. And one of the businesses here that I love, in fact, I've painted at his restaurant several times, is Jim Noble's at Roosters. It's called Roosters, no less. And so I went there to paint Roosters. His other business they've been feeding people, just the homeless people, the people out of work, the areas that need it. And it's been a hard time on him just recently with all this writing going on. I don't know, one of his restaurants is taking a shot in the arm. So, all right, hold on one second. I've got to get this camera so I don't hit it anymore. I apologize dearly. All right. I promise this will stop in a little bit, maybe. Pretty awkward for you guys watching. Lynn, don't bail out on me yet. I'm picking on Lynn this morning. All right, so here we go. Let's paint one coffee painting, and then I'll come back and talk about while that dries over there. All right, got a little roux. My hands are broken in. I'm gonna use a little bit of a pencil here on this sketch this morning. This is just a scrap piece of paper, and it looks like it's about, what's that, 4 inches maybe? 4 by 9 possibly? Look at that. What a guess. 4 by 9, okay? So here we go, a little 4 by 9, and I think it's got to be a coffee painting. So I think what I want to do is I want to do a coffee cup right here like this. You learn to draw the coffee cups that you like. I like diner mugs, and so they have a little bit of a curve here. But I don't like that necessarily curved handle. So I'll come in and I'll do a little more of a drop handle. And the reason is because my hands are a little big. This works pretty well for me. But all right, so I've got this. And then I think I got a couple roux here, or little peeps. I like these peeps with coffee. There's something that makes me laugh about these little guys. It just came to me. And this guy's on a box over here. He's on, you know what kind of boxes I draw, right? I draw apple boxes always. So this guy here, he's the coach. He's the crow up in the tree that's saying, car, car, which is really what they're saying, car, get out of the road. All right, and then look at this right here. I think I'm going to draw this like this. I think there's this these two eyes right here and this big old shoulder. And then I think there's a I'm going to finish him. Oh, yeah, here we go. I'm on to something here. Isn't that funny how how my brain works? My brain's just wired weird. I know that. Okay, let me get that cup out of the way. All right, so here's my coffee cup. I'm going to leave a little opening there. I'm going to bring this down, come in, leave a little opening there, cut it across. All right, so there's the start of my mug right here. And then I got these peeps over here. This is how I draw my peeps. Look at my pen. It's very erratic, okay? This is how you learn to sketch. If you sketched on a train, you could draw like me. All right. So when I tell my grandkids and teach my grandkids to paint, I'll say, when you're sketching with a pencil, sketch like an ice skater who's about to break through. You're going like, because you don't want to have all these heavy lines to erase, okay? So now you see, this looks like this looks a little bit like a violent painting, and I don't do many of those, but I've painted this little peep who seems to be holding a Louisville Slugger, but I think maybe it's more of a threat than anything else. And I'm going to change the painting on this, changed his leg. There's the box, the apple box. Man, the coveted apple boxes, which just hard to find today, the great ones. One's made out of white ash. They're fantastic. Okay, so this is going to be a dragonfly, and these are his wings. Now, I'm going to switch pens, and I've gone from my Pentel Energel pen, always needle point, people, always needle point, not ballpoint. You can sketch with a ballpoint, they do just fine. The needle point for me and that liquid ink seem to bleed a little better, but I've switched to an ultrafine flare, and I'm just going to come in here, and I'm going to make these wings of this dragonfly cut under like this, and little round wings here. And so then got the body that I'm going to do, and I'm going to do a segmented body that comes in like this. How's that barn coming along, Davidson?
Oh, it's doing pretty
awesome,
nice.
Man. Davidson's over there sketching the barn. I'm going to look at it in a minute. Okay, so here's what he's doing. Look, he's just sitting over there, and he's drawing a rooster on top. So I don't know if Davidson had any skills or not. I know the guy can drive a nail and use a hammer, but I said, well, come early and just sit in on the painting show. Dude, We'll have to put a little watercolor with that in a minute. Keep going. I got another project for you here in a second when I talk about paper, so I want to ask you to do me a favor in a minute, okay, Davidson?
All right, then.
All right. You know, this is like Tom Sawyer. Paint my fence, Davidson. Do the work for me. All right. All right, so here we go. So this guy here is probably, he's coming in for his sip. So his wings are like this. All right, so we got a little scene going on. See it? All right. Good morning from Peggy. Jackie, I need a whittled roux. Oh, Jackie, you do need a whittled roux. Take a look at this one. Here's one right here. Look at this one. He's got some red spots on him. See him? He's got the measles, I think. But who sent me a note yesterday? Lisa, thank you for loving your coffee roux. That I think I came to your house. Did I? Oh yeah, you said I brought you. Thank you. Very talented young man. Yes, he is. It's good to find out. Okay. Hey, listen. Only the zooming out maybe spin. Lynn, I like your style. I was telling a story yesterday, actually, about being on a boat with some middle schoolers one time, and I went, "Don't make me come inside. I'm sitting out here to see the horizon." Okay, so, and good morning to you all. And so let me get back to this. And I'm about 10 minutes away from going through a tutorial just to say, here's what I think you should start with to watercolor if you've got those questions. I'm going to do that this morning. So that's coming up in just a second. But I have to paint something, and I have to paint a coffee roux. So I know what the caption is going to be right here. I've already thought this through a little bit. And so let me just jump in here and start painting. I've already sprayed the paint a little bit with a little bit of water just to moisten up this tray. I'm going to tell you about a painting tray I think you can start with. I honestly think I brought it up here and laid it out somewhere on the desk. I hope I did. Well, maybe we'll find it in a minute. Okay. All right, so here we go. So I'm just going to grab a small bamboo brush. Here's one right here. I could grab any brush. I could grab a small number 3 or a number 7 or number 7 is a little big, but a number 3. This is going to give me what I need this morning. And so here's what I want to do first. I want to go from this direction because if I paint, or actually I don't want to paint over here first on my right because I'm right-handed. And that means to go over here, I'm going to put my hand in the paint. So I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to, just like you read, I'm going to go left to right. So this one, I'm just throwing some Gamboge, which is pretty bright yellow in on there. Left some spots in it. You see it? I'm going to come in just a little bit with this camera, but I don't want to come in too much to lose it on the edge here, okay? I think you can see that pretty well without my big old hands in the way, okay? After all, I'm a blacksmith, you know. I'm not a seamstress. Go down with my own big old head a little bit. Okay, now this one I'm going to paint a little differently, okay? Watch. Wait, you are watching. Okay, I'm going to take a little moist brush here, just wipe out a little bit of the water, and I'm just going to put some water spots on this roux and let that ink have an opportunity to run just a little bit. Okay, so this one, I just took the paint and I went in on dry paper, but I left some holidays. Holidays are those little spaces that you let the white of the paper show through. In this case, I've just put a little water in there. Now I'm going to go get some paint on my brush, and then I'm just going to touch the paint in there. And what's happened is I'm going to get some darker colors that appear just because I gave that ink a chance to bleed in the water a little bit and loosen up. See it down here already? Okay. And then I might even go get a little more touch of just Payne's Gray and put that in there. And then I like peeps who have a little bit of orange in their wing. Have you ever seen that? You know, when you look at them and you go, oh, there's little spots. That gives them personality. It's not like, here's how you can tell. You know what you do. Everybody's an artist from the 6th grade down, but most of the time the 2nd graders will just take that crayon and they'll just make it as one color, and it'll just be everything, and there's no space. Give your white paper a little chance to breathe underneath the color. That's all I'm saying, and it makes your paintings feel loose. It makes them feel a little bit better. Now, most of my apple boxes are just old wooden ash or they're not even hickory. Most are softwood, but most of them are, well, most of them are hardwood, but they're in ash wood. And I'll put a little bit of dark on the inside of that. And I'll come back when that dries and do a little something else. And then I love to have a little opposing color on the beak of these. I don't just like to do a yellow beak. I like for the beak to stand out a little bit. And then also sometimes I'll just use the same color here. Now the ball bat to me is probably a hickory bat, but it's been stained with a little bit of just a little stain like this. Okay, so there we go. And then, you know, if I was really getting fancy, I'd come in here like this, and I'd put in this, and I'd put in a little taped handle right there, you know. So the fun part about this is that it's very Three Stooges-esque. He's not really going to hurt the dragonfly. Those of you who are concerned and love dragonflies, it's just that he's defending his coffee. Okay, remember I told you I doodle to tell stories. Okay, I don't doodle because I'm a fine artist. The story is everything, people. It's everything. It's when people look at your art and they connect with the image and they go, reminds me of grandmother's cup, reminds me of her cream pitcher, reminds me of her house, reminds me of her graniteware coffee pot, reminds me of the steel trap in the backyard that I used to go set for muskrats. Okay, whatever. Yeah, I grew up in the woods. All right, reminds me of my granddad's pocket knife. Okay, so I've got to put a little coffee in there, and I'm thinking that brown over here is going to work well for that. And look, I just let it sort of run over the edge because this dragonfly is spilling it, okay? So that means there's going to be a ring down here. And then let's see what this water bottle does right here. Oh, that's nice. Okay, this is just a little spray bottle, and it's a 2-ounce bottle made by Holbein. I think I bought these at Cheap Joe's Art Stuff. And remember, if you remember when you were watching, if you remember, I switched from a pen to a flare, and I did the bodies of these dragonflies in flare. So I'm just going to take this brush and I'm going to spray the dragonfly a little bit like that. Look what happened. I'm going to hold it up for you so you can see it. I knew this was going to bleed, and it softened the ink up. See that? It made them fuzz a little bit. For those of you who are driving, it made it out of focus just a tad. Now I'm going to go get a little bit of green and just pop it right in here like this. And let that mix in with the blue of that pen, because I like the little bit of green in dragonflies' wings, but that's not all I like. I like a little touch purple in there, because these guys are iridescent. They shine. They move. I like them. So I'm just going to let that just just dry out for a second. And then I'm going to go get some orange, and I'm going to drop a little bit of orange on the tail of each one, like so. Man, I'm using a big brush, but I like it. I'm going to get some blue, because I think this guy needs a big drop of blue right here on his shoulder. And I need some of that sap green. So I'm rolling my brush over here in the sap green. I'm just going to go in, and I'm just going to treat his back with green. And then I'm going to soften that green up and come in and do the eyes in a little bit of green too right here. All right. So I need a little teal in there. Come on, you can't have a dragonfly without some teal. Probably put a little teal on the tail, because it is teetotal Tommy took a toke of tea, black cat backing up a big arc tree, tick-tock ticking out a tune on time, last word looking for a line to rhyme, sawfish swimming in the seesaw sea, but me, well, I'm only crying. Woo! I'll send you a business card if you can tell me in the next comment without Googling who did that song. Teetotal Tommy took a toke of tea, black cat backing up a big oak tree, tick-tock ticking out a tune on time, last word looking for a line to rhyme. All right. And time's up. Yeah, Skeeter, that's a Louisville Slugger. Good morning, Zoe. Glad you're here. Did you ever put blue on the tail of the Whittle Ruse? No, I have not yet. But thank you. It's a great question, Judy. All right. And I'll give you a name who did it. You need some spoons with that tune. Hey, I could play the spoons. You know what? I could play the radio. Where's my music this morning?
I don't know. I think it stopped.
It stopped. I better start some music. I was listening to Bach. Jump Bach. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to come in and do a little bit here. I'm going to put a little bit of blue sky in this painting, and then I'm going to talk about some Uh, I like this little painting. Actually, it's a story painting. Oh, this music does not go with this painting, but I love it. Okay, a little splatter in here. And then, notice what I did this morning, folks. Take a look. This is the tea I'm drinking right there. It's in my Puckett's Grocery Cup from Nashville, Tennessee. And this is the Café du Monde from the French Quarter coffee cup. Yes, my wife used to drink it there when she was 6 years old. And so I just put a bag in here and I poured in about less than an ounce of water, and I'm going to paint with this tea. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to grab a number 3 American Journey brush, and I'm going to dip it into this clean tea, and I'm going to splatter some around here like this, because it really has the coffee look of just this whole scene going upside down. There it is right there, okay? So you see those little splatters? Those are kind of perfect, actually. So I did that with tea. Now I'm going to wash my brush out. Now I'm going to move this tea over so I don't drink it. All right, so here we go. Now I'm going to put some veining in these wings, just a little light pen work right in here. Couple more feet here, maybe some little detail in the wings. There's a couple colors that I could add right here. This dragonfly has a little spot of red on him right there. Have you ever looked at them? They are just unbelievable. You know, God is quite the artist, folks. Just go out and look. I hear there's 5,000 species of fish that nobody will ever see. Is that creative? Come on. All right, little Louisville Slugger action here. Now I've got to come in with a little bit of ground underneath here. So I'm just going to take some of this pen and put it here like this. Maybe we'll put a little bit of a bush over here. I can understand too how Bob Ross got his trademark, because you really, most of the time, Davidson's in here today still sketching on his barn and his landscape over here. But what happens most of the time is that you find yourself sort of painting to the artwork and telling the story as you go. And I love that. I love how it happens. That it just works. All right, so there's the painting this morning. There it is right there. There's the whole thing in its happening. Okay. No, it wasn't Roy Clark, but that was a guess on the music. It was the guy I asked you about the other day. You should have known I would have asked you about the same guy. Mickey Newberry. Mickey Newberry did Teetotal Tommy, okay? All right, so this has got a little bit of a caption coming to you. I'm going to talk to you about that in a second. But right now, I'm going to knock everything down here, and let me throw up a list here. Let me put a list up on the screen for you to take a look at. Watch, it's going to drop in right now. Kaboom. There it is. Okay, here's your good starting list. So grab your pencil and paper. Let me give you 5 minutes on this. Here's a good starting list. Good paint. Hey, I'm using American Journey paint. They don't pay me to talk about it. I just personally went through a lot of different paint, and I like it. I like its boldness. I like its light fastness. I like how it works. So for me, that's what I do. Okay. All right. So here we go. However, this is a Van Gogh box, which my wonderful sister-in-law and my brother-in-law brought me back from their trip to France. And I love this paint, but I've used most of it up. So when I use up the Van Gogh, because I like the colors of American Journey so much, I'll just squeeze these tubes of American Journey back in these containers here. So there's the American Journey paint. It comes in tubes like this, right there. And I just squeeze it back in here, okay? So I like the size of this pan that sits on my desk. And remember, I've been painting for 10 years, and I've changed this whole thing out one time. This paint will last you a long time. Okay, so that's American Journey paint. I started with 3 colors. I started with Joe's Red. I started with Gamble G, which is the yellow here, Joe's Red, and Ultramarine Blue. Those are the 3 colors that I actually went to the art store and purchased. And for about a month, I didn't use any other colors. I made all my other secondary colors come from those primary colors. Then the tertiary colors came from all those mixes with that. But then one day I decided that I really wanted to paint. I really wanted to not mix on the paper and not on the palette, and so I started adding a few colors. Okay, this I paint out with sometimes, and this is if you're just starting tomorrow, I'd recommend you wait until, let me move this thing over a little bit now and move up so I can do both here. All right, so here we go. So now I'm looking at three things on the screen. Good paint. So buy some good paint. Does this mean you can't go to Five and Dime and buy a little palette of color and little cakes? It's okay. They're always not going to be as bold and light steadfast as when you go to more of a professional watercolor. Start with the best you can afford, the best brushes you can afford, the best paper you can afford. And I'm not talking about lots and lots of money here, okay? This is a Winsor Newton. If you see this, Winsor, it's Winsor and Newton. Winsor Newton. Man, they have been around forever. And this little palette looks like this. All these colors are cakes that are original Winsor Newton. The red, the blue, and the yellow, I've all added my own colors in. And this is pumpkin orange, and this is my turquoise from Trader Joe's, from Cheap Joe's. Okay? All right, but this is a Winsor Newton. I think this thing is going to run you about 25 or 30 bucks. Wait until Michael's runs a sale for 20, 40, 50% off, and then go in and buy it then. Okay, so start with a good paint and some good brushes. I recommend 3 brushes to start with. Let's say 4 brushes to start with. I recommend a good watercolor. You don't have to have a sable brush that costs a fortune. Just get yourself a good watercolor brush, maybe a number 3. These are American Journey brushes, but you can get there's so many companies. There's so many companies and so many brushes. And here's how your brushes look after about 6 or 7 years. Can you see those? These are brand new. I'm going to break them in here real soon. You can see the paint. I've just worn the paint off of them. And sometimes that's not from where I hold the brush. It's from me just banging it on the jar to wash them out. Remember this. I wash out my brushes. I wash my brush out after every time I use it because I don't want to dilute my paint. So don't take your red brush and then put it over in your blue brush unless you like purple all the time. Don't take your green and put it in your red, okay, unless you like brown and everything. Keep it clean. So rinse out your brush. If you want to mix in a palette pan, keep a palette pan. But this is how this little box comes. By the way, I think it comes with a cool little travel brush that fits right in here. And I think I just threw that thing away as soon as I got it. Okay. But it's good if you're on a train, okay? So these are brushes. I'd say a number 3, a number 6, maybe a number 3, number 4, number 6. That's a number 6 right there. And there is a number 7, okay? So 3, 6, and 7. Wow, you've got 3 brushes in great shape. Taking notes? Okay, I hope so. All right. Let's see what else I got on there. Good paper. Start small, people. This is 140 pound. Here's what I mean by that. I mean, it's going to be listed like this with a hashtag 140, but it's 140 pound. That's the thickness. That's the weight of the paper. And it is cold press. Cold press. Okay. Good morning from Kentucky. Hey, Lori. After use, do you put anything on it to keep it maintained and shaped? You talking about the paper, Amy? No, I just let it alone. Okay? People spray things on it, and if it's not the right depth spray, it'll yellow, and sometimes if you spray too much, it'll run. I say frame it, put it in a place that doesn't get direct sunlight or harsh sunlight for more than 2 hours a day. So put it somewhere, under a counter or something like that, okay? And yes, Margaret, these are round brushes, okay? These are called rounds, okay? So these are round brushes, and it's going to say that right on the handle. By golly, take a look right under my thumbnail. These are nylon. It's right above it. Interlocked nylon is a great brush to start with. You don't have to have a sable brush. You don't have to have a boar's hair brush. And then if you want to get really, a $3 or $4 brush, throw it in for keeps. This is a 1 or a 2 or a 0 bamboo brush. And I like them for watercolor artists because They make you just feel loose and limber, and they throw a lot of water around. So that's why I'll use that. So with these 4 brushes. Now, okay, so that's it. Now paper, let me tell you about paper. If you want to just go while you're at Michael's, if you want to pick up some paper, you know what? You can pick up some Strathmore. There it is right there. Strathmore. This is mixed media paper. It has a vellum surface. It's not what I would start with, but you might like it because it's so slick. If you want to drop paint on a page, let me pull this over just a little bit. If you want to drop paint on a page like so, and I hope you guys appreciate me taking some time this morning. I'm doing less painting and more talking about painting, but if you want to take some paint and drop it on like this and blow it around like this, okay, this vellum paper is brilliant for that, okay? It is just brilliant for that. It was made to do this with. I got quiet because, see, my tendency to start painting just geared in there. It just went flying in. Okay, that's a pencil. I thought it was a pen. So I'm going to come in here and circle this. And then I'm going to come back here and draw a leg for this roo like this. I think you can see what I'm doing. Come in here, maybe grab a little bit of this purple and mix these two together. Maybe grab a little bit of black here. How's that tea, Davidson?
It's wonderful.
Thanks, man. Davidson said he liked hot tea, so I fixed him up with some of my Thai food tea today.
Yep.
I'm out of my Builder's tea. I got to order it from England. I usually drink Builder's tea. I like it because it has a safety caution ribbon around the box that says this country wasn't built on chamomile. Isn't that a great line?
Yeah.
All right, so take a look at that. There's a rooster that just happened from me just blowing on this slick paper. I'm going to finish this. This is a good roo. Man, don't you love it when something like that just happens? I'm constantly surprised at that, and I love it, and I love to surprise myself. There we go. I'm going to lay it like that so it runs downhill just a little bit. Oh, man, look at this. Look at this. So here's what, golly, you're a trip, brother. This is what David's, hey, hang on, let me finish this, and I'm going to show people this. This is what David's has been doing since I've been sitting over there. And you even put a rooster on the roof. Yeah. Man, I love it. Hold that. And I'll tell you what, the pen I gave you is will bleed, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, so this is a company that I think you ought to look into. It's called Fluid. It's great watercolor paper. This is cold press. This is hot press. This is going to be a lot slicker surface. This is the 9x12 Fluid 100. Right here it is. See that name right there? This is good paper. You can start with Strathmore. You can start with, you don't need Arches paper. It's a little more expensive. You can start with, but if you can, Kilimanjaro is a great professional paper, 100% rag cotton, but it's pretty expensive. But if you get to where you feel like, okay, it's time to branch out, that's a good paper, and that's from Joe Miller. They make that paper. You can buy this paper pretty reasonably. It's called Arteza. I paint on it quite a bit, and the reason I do is that one side has tooth. It's hard. It's kind of like a cold press. The other side has more of a smooth press side. So it's made for markers, watercolor, and it's pretty inexpensive. It's called Arteza. And there's 32 sheets in here. It's 9x12. And in fact, there's a great bicycle on the front, so you can learn to paint a bicycle. Wow, I should have modeled that bicycle the other day. Didn't see that. Just rip the paper out. Start with small pieces of paper first, okay? Excuse me. Maybe I need some tea. All right. Simple things you're going to need. Okay, so there's my list. I hope you've copied it down by now. You're going to need some paper towels. You're going to need a water container. Look, I use a ball mason jar most of the time. Holds enough water for me to get through an hour session of painting. And I change out the water. Clean water means clean water going back into my paint. Need a flat surface. I talked about that a little bit this morning. Just a board of some sort, because you're going to splatter it all over your table if you paint like I paint. And then you need good enough passion to start. And then hashtag me at doodle something every day. But the point is, just get creative and say you're going to do it. And most people say they can't paint because they don't have time. I don't bite. You got plenty of time. Okay, let me get out of this now, and that'll help you. I hope that helped you a little bit to get started. And can you talk more about pencils and pens? I can. A couple minutes on that, then I'll finish up a couple paintings. I use pens that most people do not use in watercoloring. I'm just going to tell you, most people will not use these pens. They are both fountain pens, but I love it because they make me continue to paint loose, and that has been my word since I started. I love loose watercolors. I love the thanks, man. I love this pen here. This is what Davidson has been, and I think I mentioned this pen on the show a couple times. Look, this is a rollerball pen. You don't see me paint with many rollerballs. It's from the dollar store, and it's 2 for $1. It's a great, bold journal pen that just goes crazy sometimes when you get to paint with it or sketch with it. And so, like if I do just my quick little, I just do a little Roo with the tail here. He's growing up. He's got a little bit of a comb coming in. He's got a big old foot, and he's got this foot out here, and he's holding a pen. And when I draw pens from roosters, I always do a fountain pen because I think they just have class. Okay. Yeah. You do? You like that? You like a good fountain pen too? Davidson likes a good fountain pen to just, they are so fun to make notes with. But see, this pen is going to not bleed like my ball. I'm going to show you the difference here, okay? And that's why I'm doing this right here. But watch what's going to happen. You see how it fuzzes the line a little bit, and you start to get a little bit of the ink. The more water I use, the more it'll break the pen down. And then when I drop my little bit of yellow in there, just touch it. It just goes everywhere. Everywhere, not everywhere, as my wife says. Now, that's not the color I wanted to use in this beak, so I'm going to go in and just dab it out like that. And then I'm going to go get a little different color there, like that. All right, now I'm doing 3 things at once here. Now, you're only going to do this if you're ADD, I'm telling you. It's pretty fun, isn't it? Okay, so I'm picking this rooster back up, the one I had over there. I like this right here. I like how he's coming together here. Sometimes you just have a little, and see, now I know why Bob Ross said there's a happy little accident over here. I just blew this to show you how it could be, and I just shook some white, titanium white in there, and I'm just going to let that continue to dry. I'm going to drop it on the floor down here so it's flat. I'm going to pick it back up in a minute and finish it. Okay, so there's a piece of paper. Now, what I do for these little short pieces of paper, small pieces of paper, I just take my big 9x12s and I chop them up a little bit. So here's that same painting done again with my speedball. So the speedball is going to give us just a little more bleed, okay? So here it is right here, and I'm going to draw him with a paintbrush, which is, if you buy one of my Roo books, you see a rooster, not a peep, holding a paintbrush. And I like the fact that that paintbrush adds to just the fact that let everything that has breath, okay? I mean, the birds are all painting. So look at this. Look what happens when I do this one. The difference in the bleed of the ink. See that? Okay. I think you're seeing the difference already here. This is the one. It bled a little bit. Now I've got all this black coming in there. When I put in my Gambogi now, it just chases the black around and gives me this great look. And I touch that little piece of orange in both of them. And here's the thing about illustrative art. If I were doing a storytelling in your class or with a group of young people somewhere, or shoot, when I used to travel as a storyteller, and tell for conferences, my storytelling people they're all ages. To do this and doodle this while I'm telling that story changes everything. And everybody knows it's a rooster. They go, oh, he just painted a peep. So there's 2 of them right there with 2 different pens. Speedball ink and a ballpoint. And I could do that with all my pens, different bleeds. Look what happened here. This ink is running into the red and it's making a kind of a maroon color. So there's a quick little change. I'll throw those. In fact, I'll probably just give these away. Somebody will. All right. Nib size is medium, Skeeter, but I would love to have a fine point. I think that's going to be my Father's Day gift. I think I'm going to ask for a Lamy pen. The problem with fine point most of the time is that it's a smaller pen. This is you can buy this pen that's smaller for children's hands or women's hands. My hands are not that small, as you can tell. So, all right, here we go. Last cup, dude. Back off. All right, so there's that painting finished this morning. Last cup, dude. Back off. I'll post that today. Time has flown by. Any more questions on? Thank you, Wendy. Love seeing the comparison. Hey, 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 Suzanne Harris. It's a beautiful day. And pencils. Most of the time, I don't use pencils. I do have a mechanical pencil that's on the desk. It is a 0.5, I think, not a 7. And it's made by Kurotoga. I bought that because I couldn't pronounce it. And then I keep pencils on the desk from time to time. This one is just a Ticonderoga. I usually use a Murata Black Warrior because it's a good wooden pencil. But I always pull the erasers off because don't use this eraser. So put an eraser in your bag that's decent. Okay, will you do that? Put an eraser in your bag that's decent. And the flare pen, Alicia, the flare pen just tends to bleed a little differently, okay? And it has a different color. So one other day, I'll do a whole thing again on my pen bleeds because I have them laid out here. Here's a good example of that right now. I take all my pens and I lay out a little key. This is my 05, my 07. This is my Speedball ink. This is my other fountain pen. This is my light flare. This is my ultralight flare. This is my stylus pen that I use. And this is the Finto pen that I use. And this is the R2 right here. And so then I'll just put 3 little marks and some water and watch what happens. This is a regular orange flare. This is a regular blue flare. So I keep this laying around somewhere so I go, ooh, I want to add a little bit to this. Look at this. This is a perfect Payne's Gray right here. And that's a paint that you would have to buy. And I go, well, I've used so much less of it because I just let my pen bleed in and soften up the edges of the watercolor. Okay, so that's how that works. All right, what other questions do you have for me this morning? Let's see if I can go down with this just a little bit and get you on the bigger screen. And then I do have these 2 little paintings. Somebody asked me for a couple little tiny roos, and I said, well, it costs me. It's the same price for me to whittle a big one as it is to whittle one of the little ones. So you're looking at an expensive little thing here, except that you're not going to get a bottle of Copper and Thief, which if you haven't had Copper and Thief and you're a wine connoisseur, you might want to pay the extra bucks. My wife says I'm a tea drinker, okay, but it's called Copper and Thief. And I thought, what great names for these 2 guys. This is Copper and this is Thief, okay? So there they are. I just split off the wine cork and I punched some holes in there, and these little roos stand up. Can I show you this? Let's see if I can right there. There it is in my hand up in the tiny little, oh my gosh, is that tiny? So here it is against the paper. Can you see it this way? I'll get there. All right, so what I'll do is I'll come in with a tiny little brush here. I'll pick up a little red and I'll do their combs in red just like this, a little touch of red. Remember, I'm not trying to paint a real rooster. I'm just trying to make, and I don't like folk art that much, but what I'm trying to do is just give you a theatrical feel of, oh my gosh, this is a hand-painted rooster, and I like the looks of him. Okay, so I'm painting those, and I'm holding it in my hand. I'm not trying to be too steady. I'm just touching a little bit of yellow on the beak, like so, both sides, and then I just put a little yellow on the legs, like this. I like this music. It's like it's such a heraldry here that I'm painting, right, Davidson? Feels pretty official, doesn't it, buddy? Yeah. So Davidson's in my studio today. He's 16 years old. He's a maker. And so we're going to make some stuff today. There's these 2 little peeps, and they're both whittled out of little twigs from a river birch in my front yard, and then they're stuck into a wine cork, split off Cooper and Thief. And somebody's already asked me, yeah, Kim, my resume is crazy. And you know what? If you ask me that tomorrow, no, not tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to paint tomorrow. But if you ask me that next week, I'll show you a copy of my resume. I had to send it to some folks a while back, and I put it in 6-point type. This is many years ago. So everything I've ever did, everything I kept hid, everything I did when I wrote down in the 6-point type. And so it's been kind of fun. All right. So my resume is goofy because I'm an old man. All right. So let's have it over here. All right. Here we go. This is Davidson's painting. Oh my gosh, this is too cool. Look at this. I love it. I love it. I'm not going to mess it up, brother. I think you should paint it later. So I'm going to give it to you, but I'm just going to paint your roo.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. I'm going to paint your rooster, then you can paint the rest of it. So here we go. This is Davidson. While he's been listening to me tell stories this morning, the dude has painted an entire farm scene. He's 16. He makes stuff out of metal some days. He's well-rounded in his taste of life at his age. So I'm going to do a little red comb up here and a little red down here. I'm going to put a little bit of blue in this tail and a little bit of Sag Harbor gray up here. But we want that rooster to pop a little bit. He's on the barn. And, our roosters crow from the barn.
Wake everyone up.
To wake everyone up, but also just because they can, So there he is. He's up on the barn. I'm just going to... Oh my gosh, this is pretty fun. I love this. I love this little tractor out here, but it's got headlights like a Willis Jeep. I kind of like that too. So I like your style, man. I like your style. All right, this is pretty fun here. I'm just having some fun. I'm going to let you paint this later, and but I'm just having some fun with it right now. This is really fun. Thank you for doing this today, man. It's awesome. This barn is pretty amazing. I love the wood you've done on the barn here, man. That just needs a little bit of a brush stroke like this, not much. This shouldn't be overdone. This should just be put a horseshoe over the yeah.
Good luck, some people believe.
Would you put a window? Oh, that's underneath. So is that a horse eating some hay? Or is that a cow?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see the nose now. Okay, sorry. I've insulted the artist already. All right, I love that, man. Thank you. Hold on to that. I want you to finish it later today. That'd be a hoot. Davidson's with me all day. All right. Okay, folks, let me wrap up here, and just about time for me to go home. Here's the painting I did this morning, and I talked mostly. I actually brought my wife's plate up from the kitchen this morning, and I brought this one up yesterday. She had some friends over for lunch. And I love these poppies. Oh my gosh, this is a Port Marion piece of china. If you don't know about Botanical Garden Port Marion, this is not a commercial for them. But take a look. These are Papaver rhodes, or the poppy, as we would know it. She did a stained glass window in these many years ago, and so I love this. And I thought, I set the dish over there this morning, and I sort of sketched these out. So I think I'm going to do this painting of these poppies and then put a couple bees in here. I don't do hardly any flowers, and so that's what gave me the idea to do that. I got these two paintings. I started a painting in the book, and now I'll have to wait because I'm out of time, but I was going to do a big grasshopper over here for my word today. And this is just a book that I paint in that gets my brain creatively flowing. I find a word. Here's a word right here that's called Gambersang, or galley-napper, a large mosquito, the etymology of which is mainly used in the United States. No, I'm not a galley-napper. I'm a dragonfly, he says. And so that's where my dragonfly came in. I didn't even see that this morning, but there's all sorts of things in here. There's another dragonfly. This would be at the time of the running of the Churchill Downs race. This would be the Kentucky Derby. This would be a fascinator, a hen who has her fascinator on, her little hat. So this, I say, don't worry about wasting paper, but get the best paper and pencils and pens and paint that you can afford. And then make yourself a little bailout bag. In mine, I have a small tube of paints, which in this case is in a little Young Life tin that was a mint box from several years ago. There's my paint in this one. I actually carry this one in my briefcase, my leather bag from Buffalo Jackson all the time, and that's this little Altoid tin. And I carry a water brush with me. I carry a Pentel pen. I carry one of my fountain pens, and sometimes I carry a bamboo brush. With that right there and some small pieces of paper, I'm ready to go wherever I go to make watercolor. And I was actually going to get Davison to cut me a paper bag this morning, and I was going to say about paper. Once you start painting, you'll paint on anything. I was going to paint a piece of painting on a paper bag for you this morning, but I'll finish that later. All right. So here's the Roo that I just let run in, and I'm going to do some detail work on him, and then I'm going to post him this morning. There's his eye. There's a little work here. Draw some detail in him. Maybe using this pen now to go in. And the music is winding up, and so must I. So, thank you, Zoe. Awesome farm scene, such detail. Talented.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Cancellation request. Cancel. I don't know what that's from. Connection request from my iPhone. My iPhone does the weirdest things. Okay. So, love the poppies, Lynn. I'll see how they work out today. Very informative today. Thank you, Judy, for that. And listen, what I want you to do is I want you just to be creative. If you're a quilter, if you're a potter, if you're a painter, if you're a publisher, if you're a poet, whatever it is, be creative. If you're a maker today, Davidson and I are going out and crank up the forge, and we're going to see if we can beat the heat, and pun intended, and make a couple branding irons and something. And then we'll go from there. I'll post a couple of these paintings online at fair prices. Thank you for buying original art. If you're interested in a Roodoodle book, it's called Hey Roo, What's a Wheelbarrow? It's a book that you can order from Amazon. It's my children's book. It's 8x8. It's paper. If you want to buy it from me, it costs you a couple bucks more because I have to have it shipped here from the publisher. I've got some on Etsy, but they're coming into me, and the publisher's sending me another couple dozen next week. It's been short batches to get them. I know there's one lost in the mail. I'm looking for it. Anyway, so you can go to roodoodles.com and find that. I'm going to post this out on YouTube when I'm done here today. So if you want to look at it again and go through some of that instructions, you can do it. It'll stay on Facebook. Thanks for sharing my page. Thank you for being part of what's going on. And Skeeter, God bless to you, buddy. Hope to see you. And thank you, Caroline, for your note. Wow, thank you. You've been taking my advice and sending some paintings to families and friends. Call somebody today and tell them hope is on the way, okay? And your brother-in-law is a farrier. Well, let me just pick up on that. Judy, a farrier is a person who shoes horses. A blacksmith could shoe a horse, but the question is, why would he? That's dangerous work, okay? Got to go off on a little sound effect today. So here it is. Got my harmonica ready to go.